Millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide, including right here in the United States. Child trafficking cases can occur in metropolitan areas, wealthy suburbs, and rural areas. Traffickers can be family members, acquaintances, partners, or strangers. Child trafficking investigations have occurred in every state. Human trafficking is a global crisis, much like poverty and hunger. There are no easy answers or quick fixes. Rather, ending it will require continued collaboration of advocacy organizations, law enforcement, governments, and individuals. For more information on human trafficking, contact the Office of School Safety and Security by either phone or email, or visit our page at the Department of Education website.
Good afternoon, and thank you for attending our Action to Awareness webinar series. Today, we're super excited to have with us the Community Outreach Specialist from the FBI at the Oklahoma City Field Office, Ms. Veronica Parton. Today, she's going to discuss child exploitation and human trafficking. We know that January is Human Trafficking Month, and we want to bring awareness to it. It's often one of our most often requested trainings, professional developments for staff. And so we're really excited to now get another viewpoint or another set of eyes of how the FBI can help you, can help your school district, and just as parents and communities learn more about child exploitation and human trafficking. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Veronica Parton. Thank you.
Well, hello, I am Veronica Parton. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist here for the FBI in Oklahoma City. I am housed in Oklahoma City and I serve all of Oklahoma. And what that means is we have an office here. Our headquarters office is in Oklahoma City, and we have resident offices throughout the state to include Tulsa, Muskogee, Norman, Lawton, and Durant and Ardmore. So today we're going to be talking about some things that might be relevant to you as teachers, parents, caregivers, aunts, uncles, kind of the gamut. My community outreach program is in charge of education from different topics from the FBI to people or organizations. So I want to thank your organization for inviting me to be here today. And I also want to thank all of you who have taken the time to watch this to give some more information that might be helpful for you down the road.
What are the goals for today's presentation?
Today I'm going to give you information on child extortion, sextortion, child sex trafficking, and how they correlate. And we're going to talk about the why, and does this happen to students in Oklahoma? I'm going to give you possible indicators, how to handle disclosure, reporting, and resources.
Do crimes against children really happen in Oklahoma?
Well, crimes against children is a national issue. The FBI takes a proactive approach to identify unknown individuals involved in the sexual exploitation of children and the production of child sexual abuse material. So you'll hear me refer back to that as CSAM. So again, that's child sexual abuse material. We remain vigilant and continue our active role in the national strategy to ensure that children are protected. We reaffirm our commitment to removing sexual predators from children's lives and doing it through the justice system. The FBI is seeking to warn parents, educators, caregivers, and children about the dangers of sextortion. And yes, this is happening in Oklahoma, and this is happening to people who might be in your school or that you may know. Because much like the internet, crimes against children doesn't have any borders and can affect anyone in any state, anywhere.
What is child exploitation?
Child exploitation is sexual exploitation of children encompassing a number of different offenses and behaviors, including the possession, distribution, advertisement, and production of CSAM. Another form of child exploitation involves groups of offenders working together to build a library of CSAM. Offenders in these groups take on different roles. Some offenders find the targets on the internet, including children who already have an online presence. Others engage children through fake, age-appropriate, online persona and manipulate victims into performing sex acts on live streaming sites under the guise of age-appropriate experimentation or by bullying them. The acts are recorded by other members of the group and then uploaded to a central location that only that group has access to. And then these children may never be aware that their images were captured and consumed by adult offenders. And then some members may escalate to sextortion, reveal that they are an adult, and demand more images or videos. And one quick side note, when we're talking about children and victims, we're talking about children under the age of 18 for these purposes.
What is sextortion?
What is sextortion? Sextortion is a form of child sexual abuse material, CSAM, production. The offender forces the child victim to produce sexually explicit material through threats and coercion. Offenders use various techniques to get the compromising image, then threaten to share the image with the child's friends and family unless the victim sends additional images. Sometimes offenders claim to have a compromising image of the victim, even if they don't. The child can be forced to perform sex acts on themselves, other children, or family pets upon demand. The activity generally becomes more and more egregious, and the abuse can go on for months or years. So shame, fear, and embarrassment keep the children from stopping the behavior. And many children have even engaged in self-harm in an attempt to get out of the sextortion situation and to deal with the emotional trauma. Financial sextortion schemes occur in online environments where young people feel most comfortable. So using common social media sites, gaming sites, or video chat applications that feel familiar and safe. On these platforms, predators often use fake accounts and target victims, oftentimes between the ages of 14 to 17 years old. But the FBI has interviewed victims as young as 10. So let that sit for a second. And what does that mean? Like gaming sites, those offline chats. They're on a game and then they say, hey, let's go to this other chat format that takes it off of there, right? So we at the FBI would like to say that there's a special app you can download to keep them safe, but really there's not a magical app that will do that.
Sextortion is when an adult coerces or entices a child to produce a sexually explicit image of themselves and send it to them over the internet. Once the offender gets a single image of a child, typically they'll use that image to coerce the child to produce more and more under threats of sending that image to friends at school, names on a contact list, or even the parents. Any child can be a victim of this crime, whether they're on the honor roll, whether they're a star athlete, boys or girls, but we have to encourage them to make smart decisions when they're online. Individuals who are conducting this kind of activity have multiple online profiles. They can pretend to be a 16-year-old boy or girl. They can pretend to be anyone, especially in the online gaming environments where they're offering cheat codes, they're offering access to coupons, or to get further advance in a game. So it's really important to have your guard up, to know that if someone who's contacting you saying that there's something, there's a good chance they might not be. They're looking to get access to you, they're looking to talk to you, and they're trying to encourage you to produce imagery so they can use that imagery to coerce you to produce more. Many of our victims tell us that they feel that there was no way out. They thought they were going to get in trouble. It's really important for victims to understand that they are not in trouble. This is an adult who is in trouble, who is coercing them to do this kind of activity. So it's important to reach out to a trusted adult or to law enforcement so we can end that cycle of victimization. Gone are the days when we told people to keep the family computer in the living room so that the parents could keep an eye on them. Now with kids with tablets and smartphones, many times they're having to make those really hard decisions when they're not under the watchful eye of their parent. So having those good conversations about what's appropriate behavior is more important now than ever.
What is child sex trafficking?
Child sex trafficking is a form of child abuse that occurs when a child under 18 is advertised, solicited, or exploited through a commercial sex act. A commercial sex act is any sex act where something of value, such as money, drugs, or a place to stay, is given to or received by any person for sexual activity. So there's the exchange.
Who are the offenders?
So who are the offenders? I think that, we in our minds want to think that the stranger is the quote unquote creepy person who lives in a basement and behind a computer all the time. But offenders can also be this, so they could be that, they could be the strangers, but they can also be family members, friends, acquaintances, partners. So boyfriend, girlfriend type relationship.
What is grooming and or seasoning?
The process of breaking down someone from healthy sexual boundaries to commercial sex with strangers is often referred to as grooming or seasoning. It is a systematic process that has been documented and replicated by offenders nationwide. In essence, this process aims to achieve complete control over someone's identity or individuality using a combination of physical, mental, and emotional means. In the trafficking paradigm, this process also involves force, fraud, and coercion.
How do the crimes discussed correlate with each other?
The correlation between all of the crimes is similar types of grooming methods, rapport building through compliments, shared interest, being someone that they can turn to, planning a future together, liking their online posts. You know, we all like those likes, showing them attention, offering incentives like gift cards, online vouchers or rewards, jewelry, clothing, drugs, and alcohol. Having sexual conversations and sending nude pictures of themselves to try to get images or sexual acts in return. So think online predators posing as a 12-year-old counterpart, like, hey, I'm going to send you this picture of me if you send some pictures of yourself. Okay, so think about the definition of exploitation. Offenders may want different outcomes, but exploiting someone means the action or fact of treating someone unfairly in order to benefit from their work or action of making use of and benefiting from those resources.
What do possible indicators of crimes against children look like?
Well, there's no one indicator fits all. Consider natural changes in hormones, schoolwork, sports, homework, home situations. Are they working? How old are they? You know, all those types of things to keep in mind. But of course, as with anything, significant changes in behavior with all of the above considered. If you have someone in your life and you know them pretty well and you can see a drastic change in behavior, that can be an indicator of a lot of different things. So indicators do not necessarily mean they're a victim of these sex crimes. It could mean a lot of different things, but those would be the biggest indicators of something going on, would be a major change in behavior.
What can I do if I find out this type of activity is occurring?
So responding to a disclosure. What happens if you do find out that this is going on with, you know, a loved one or a child that is in your class? First and foremost, maintain a compassionate and non-judgmental attitude at all times. So think of your most recent intimate moment and how uncomfortable you may feel sharing that information, because that's probably what they're going to have to be doing. So compassion and non-judgment. And then be consistent. Don't make any promises you can't keep. Be sensitive to their unique cultural needs and experience. Everybody's different. Be honest with them about what your next steps are and follow through. Provide options to them about resources and support. And then remember that many survivors do not identify as victims. They have and can have complex relationships with their offenders based on fear and misplaced feelings of love or family. And now, all this said, this is not to bypass your own internal processes. So if you have an internal process or procedure of how to file a report, whether it's with your local law enforcement or your school resource officer, we don't want to interfere with that. So you might be asking, okay, all of this, well, what can I do to keep my kids safe? And whether that's your own personal family or the kids in your class. So what we suggest is reminding children that they should be careful in posting images online and stress that images are on the internet and they exist forever. This goes for computers, phones, tablets, and other forms of wireless communication. Remind them that anything they do via webcam or mobile device cameras can be recorded by a perpetrator without their knowledge. Tell them or show them how to practice good cybersecurity for their devices. Later, I'll give you resources on our Safe Online Surfing program that can help teachers with kids aged 3rd through 8th grade. But good cyber security practices, using strong passwords, upper and lowercase letters, numbers and symbols, updating software, never share accounts or passwords. Right now, we always see those like, don't share your password. Well, this is a good reason why. And obviously, if they do share it with somebody who's trusted, a parent or caregiver. And then cover their webcam when their computer's not in use. I know some places have little tools that you can actually attach to your camera and cover it if your camera doesn't have that capability. Never open email attachments unless they're certain the sender. Use firewall and anti-malware software, and consider using encryption for their hard drive. Of course, as with any safety, technology alone will not protect someone, because we know that things can still be attacked. So we always encourage people to be suspicious and alert. So you possibly get a disclosure. Now, how do you file a report? Well, obviously, again, back to that, we do not want to tell you to not follow your own internal processes. So please follow that. But additionally, know that if young people are being exploited and they're victims of a crime, it should be reported. Either contact local law enforcement or your local FBI office. And that obviously would be our main number here, which I will give you here in a few moments, or call 1-800-CALL-FBI. There's also a way to report it online at tips.fbi.gov. Other resources are also the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC. They have outlined steps both parents and young people can take if they or their child are a victim of sextortion, including to remember that the predator is to blame, not the child or you. Getting help before you decide whether to pay money or otherwise comply. And then reporting the predator's account gives information on how to block and not deleting the profile, because that can be helpful to law enforcement later, and letting NCMEC get the images off of the internet. So we will also give a link to some of those and to some of that information. So if somebody is a victim, how does the FBI help them? We have victim specialists, and who our victim specialists are full-time FBI employees dedicated to providing victim assistance services to victims of federal crime and current FBI investigations. Our victim specialists can provide direct services such as on-scene response, crisis intervention, medical and forensic exams, transportation, interview assistance, and they do have ability to do other services, along with giving program and development and resources. So if you want further information from a victim specialist, we can get them in contact with you.
Are there resources for Oklahoma educators?
For future presentations or trainings, currently FBI Oklahoma City conducts trainings for law enforcement. And then we have a program right now where we're specifically targeting school resource officers. So if your school resource officer would like further information, have them give me a call. If you would like the FBI to conduct a presentation, such as this educational presentation for your staff, parents, or students, I will give a link to our request speaker form, and that's the best way to do that, or you can always call or email me. I have to give a shout out, if you're watching, to the one principal who did have us come out and talk to their parents on Parents Night. We feel like that was a good feedback and an opportunity for us to give information such as this directly to parents. So additional resources, I am going to try and share my screen here. To get some resources. Okay. So under FBI.gov, and I'm hoping you can see this, there's a lot of different information on how to navigate, what kind of crimes we investigate. But right here is kind of where we want to go. We want to submit a tip, and it'll give information on how to contact us. And then this isn't just for these types of crimes that we talked about. This is to report any crime that is a federal crime that we would investigate. So, but if we're going to go, and you want to contact us, you're going to go here, contact us, to field offices. This is how you're going to get directly to Oklahoma. And you can either come over here to the map, or you can scroll down by alphabetical order. I'm going to go to the map just to save us some time. And you're going to click on the Oklahoma City. And that's going to bring you here to the Oklahoma City webpage. And if you haven't already, you can also follow us on Twitter and get the most recent updates for anything that we're putting out there about what's going on and reporting crimes. And then under community outreach, here is the website for my program. And since I'm pausing here, Citizens Academy, if you're interested in learning more about the Citizens Academy, applications are currently open through February 10th of 2023. Or if you have additional questions, you can always call me about that. We have some other resources here, but specifically want to talk about the Safe Online Surfing. This is a opportunity for teachers. It provides curriculum that is helpful for you. You can do lessons, and there's a challenge, if you will, and if you win nationwide, we come out with a really lovely little certificate. We'll bring our special agent in charge out to give that presentation to your school. And let's see here. Down here at the very bottom, we have our speaker request form. This is the form that I was referring to if you want to have us come out and do further presentations. Okay. And I will also send a link. It'll take you directly here to the Sextortion webpage, and it will give information on how you can get more help through these links. And then I will also send a link for the public service announcement through YouTube with our director, Christopher Ray. All right, my contact information, Veronica Parton, and my email, you can contact me at oc_outreach@fbi.gov, or you can call me directly. My direct number is 405-290-3605. And for reporting purposes, our direct office number, which does not come to me, I'm not an investigator. So if you do call me, I will forward you onto the investigative team. And that main number is here in Oklahoma, 405-290-7770.
Wow, thank you, Ms. Veronica, for all of that. That is so exciting to hear that we now have additional outlets such as the FBI that are willing to come to our communities, our schools, our churches, our civic events, and speak to us on child exploitation and human trafficking. Again, you have Veronica's contact information. If you need professional development for child exploitation and human trafficking, feel free to reach out to me. I do that as well. And we're just super excited that we've had such a great following so far on our Awareness to Action campaign, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle DeLon, CEO and President here at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
And I'm Chris Ray, Director of the FBI.
We're here together to share important information about a disturbing crime targeting our kids. It's called sextortion.
You may have heard about this before, but the trend we're seeing now shows that this problem is growing.
And sadly, this form of extortion has even led to some children taking their own lives. And we want you to know that help is out there.
So first, what is sextortion? It's a form of online blackmail using nude images. The blackmail part happens when somebody threatens to share the private images if their demands aren't met. Often they demand money, electronically or in other forms, or they demand more sexual imagery. And we've actually seen an increase in the targeting of teenage males. And as if that wasn't tragic enough, as Michelle just mentioned, an alarming number of these victims have ended up committing suicide because perpetrators' continuing demands make victims feel isolated, embarrassed, and trapped.
Young people are being targeted on social media and gaming platforms where they're approached by somebody who wants to chat. These offenders are organized and they are deliberately targeting children. They will use fake pictures and fake profiles and appear to be a similar age to the child. Then they'll use attention and flattery to convince the child to share nude images and videos.
And after obtaining compromising images, these perpetrators will either demand payment or force the victim to create more explicit material. And if the victim doesn't, they'll threaten to send the images to the victim's friends, parents, or school.
And And understandably, this can be overwhelming. Many kids feel like there is no way out, but help is available.
Any child or teen can become a victim. So here are some tips to share with your kids about staying safe. First, be suspicious if someone you meet on a game or an app asks you to start communicating with them on a different platform. Second, never send compromising images of yourself to anyone, no matter who they are or who they say they are. And third, don't open attachments from people you don't actually know.
And should this happen to a child you know, please do not delete any of the communications and immediately contact local law enforcement. Then report it to the cyber tip line. The key to fighting this troubling crime is educating the children in your life. They are not alone and help is available.